Welcome guys, we do have a different type of video today. We're gonna be analyzing one of the games of a very famous streamer who's actually enjoying Age of Empires 4 a lot, so the community is very happy for that, and we might as well give you a hand because it's a really hard game. And that is xQc. xQc, it's playing Age of Empires, and we want to give him a hand because it's a really fun game. I agree, it is a really fun game, and looks like he jumps from games to time, but he really is sticking with Age of Empires 4 for a while. Therefore, he's really enjoying it. He's watching some guides and everything, so we might as well give him a hand. So we're gonna analyze his game, and remember, for those of you who don't know Age of Empires 4, it is a really hard game to get. Like, if you try, you may be good at other games, but if you really try Age of Empires 4 for the first time, you're really gonna get destroyed, completely annihilated. And he's already playing the multiplayer game, so he's actually doing very well. It's very brave coming from him, so let's help him out and give him a hand. His opponent is playing Order of the Dragon, so we're not gonna be analyzing too much what's going on with his opponent, because a lot of things that you may be thinking about doing with your own civilization first before thinking about others ones. So first things first, you want to always move the villagers around to get your sheep, because a villager that is walking, technically is a villager that is not working, right? You can already tell in the income per minute, like, your opponent is doing the right thing. He's getting the sheep right away and he's getting gold, and the reason he's doing that is because he's getting some he wants to go to the Imperial Age. That's his strategy. Some strategies may force you to fight in the Dark Age for a while, and you may not go for gold at the beginning, but for the most part you want to have villagers on foot, and that's why you have your starting ship here. You have your starting ship, so you can just start gathering food right away. So I can tell by his logic, probably he's thinking about looking for resources with the villagers, and when he finds some decent resource, I think he's looking for deer. And the deer is in the back of the base. You never know that because all the maps are different, so you don't really need to do that. You can just go back to the ship, have 7 on foot, and then go to the gold, just like your opponent is doing, having 2 on gold, the rest on foot. Let's take a look at the villager count here. He's having enough on foot, enough on gold, and he's getting there. He's already have it's 80% of the way of going to the Feudal Age. So looks like xQc wants to go for the deer, and his strategy was, you know what, I'm gonna grab, if I'm going for the deer anyway, I'm going with the scout, so as soon as I find them, I will go for the deer. And the best thing you can do is actually just go for the sheep first. Don't overcomplicate things, just go for the sheep first. Or if you really want to go for the deer, try to scout with your scout the areas where you will find deer. Remember that typically you will find a deer pack close to your base, but not that close, and another one that is very far. So just try to look around, try to do a circle, just just like this, where you can just just move here, then go back, gather the sheep that is around here, and then go back with the sheep, because 3 sheep is not enough to age up. So looks like he's moving the sheep here, and that will give him 8 villagers on foot, 2 on gold, and he's pretty fine. Looks like he created a house here. Normally you want to create buildings around your town center, because this town center, think about like a MOBA game where if you are in the town center, you're fighting against the tower. Under the tower influence, then obviously your opponent is gonna be having a really hard time. So that's on that. So xQc went to scout his opponent. He saw he will be aging up with the Mayware Palace. Not getting into the specifics of the game, but this basically acts as a blacksmith. Typically, that's what people on the Holy Roman Empire or Order of the Dragon do. Most likely Order of the Dragon. Look at that! xQc managing to hit the jackpot lottery here with sheep coming. Oh my god! You know what? That may be a visionary move. That may be a visionary move. You know, go for the deer. You don't expect to see a lot of villagers here. And there you go. Now, you're aging up with 4 villagers, which is fine. But you don't want to age up with your villagers on gold unless you don't need them. Because the first thing you get access when you age up is upgrades, you know? It's most likely upgrades in the Feudal Age. Some civilizations get access to, you know, gold units where you need gold to buy them. But most of the time you need upgrades as soon as you age up, because that's the most important thing. And when you age up with the villagers you have in gold, then you don't have enough gold when you age up and you want to gather those upgrades. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so it's okay, 4 villagers aging up here. The stable is going up for the opponent. So you may or may not notice that there is 3 types of units in Age of Empires. 3 main types of units. You know, the spearmen, which counter the horsemen. The horsemen, which counter the archers, and the archers that counter the spearmen. So when your opponent is going stables, might as well thinking about going for the barracks as well, just to have the counter unit right away. You know, this comes with practice. Obviously, it requires a lot of APM, not so much APM, but you know, thinking about a lot of things at the same time to check what is your opponent doing and how you need to react. Otherwise, you're playing blindly. Now, let's talk about this because we're having a little bit of a problem here. You're not producing. There has been some idle time on your town center, and ideally, you want to keep producing villagers the whole time until you have at least 100 or 130 for some civilizations. Like, you want to have a lot of villagers, because with villagers you have resources, with resources you have military. So you have 5 on foot, which I'm not sure where they are. There you go, 5 on foot. You may want to have more foot to get those lombos out, and you can see, like, you have the wood to get the lombos, but you don't have the foot. And this is where you will become it becomes a little bit hard to get, because 8 villagers on foot, you know, that will give you more you know, more choices to create more units, and also your town center. Now, to keep your town center always producing villagers, you want to have at least minimum of 4 villagers on foot, just to get, you know, those villagers out of the town center non-stop. And the rest of the villagers, you know, if you have 40, you may need 4 more for spamming lombos non-stop. You may need 12 maybe, because this acts as a 2 archery range instead of 1. I can see the horsemen are already here, and you do have the lombos, but the lombos are not exactly the best unit to deal with the horsemen. You can see you don't really deal much damage to this. You have the advantage that you attack from distance, but you're not dealing enough damage. So in this case, like, you didn't know your opponent was coming with a horseman, that's totally fine. Now you know, try to get a barracks right away. So at this point in the game, you may be thinking, like, what do I do now? Like, how do I kill my opponent? Because no, you're going with some lombos, and that pretty much is a death sentence for you, because a single horseman, a gilded horseman, remember the Order of the Dragon have stronger units, but they take longer to train and they are more expensive. A single horseman can take down 6 of your lombos, so you're doing a very risky move here. But, you know, obviously your opponent is also have a similar skill to you. So good job on producing villagers. Looks like you're moving onto wood, and you're having the barracks, which is great. Just what I was talking about. You're having the barracks. You're gonna get those spearmen out, and you're gonna be having a better time dealing with those horsemen, because you don't want to lose villagers. The most important thing you have in the game is your villager, and this is what I'm talking about. A single horseman may be enough to take down all of those. Can already tell when you attack it, like, okay, I'm not doing any kind of damage, and you're very far from home. These lombos are not coming back, so you might as well give a try and try to reduce the HP of this horseman. But anyway, are you already doing the right call? You're going for the spearman, and you have more lombos. Now your villagers are getting raided here, and when you play as the English, your advantage is that you have cheaper farms. If you take a look at how much a farm is, it's 37 wood, whereas other civilizations, they cost 75. So your advantage is on having farms very early on. Not only that, but you know, your farms are better than other civilizations. They give extra bonus if you build them around the area. So think about going for early farms as the English, because if you put your farms here, your opponent cannot raid you really, and there's nothing he can do. The town center will do the damage, and your villagers will be safer. You can garrison your villagers here. Okay, so keep producing villagers. You can already tell you're behind on villager production, and this is due to the allocation of villagers. You can already tell here how many resources per minute your opponent has and how much you have. And the reason you have less is because, you know, you're not producing villagers. And if you had more normally Order of the Dragon shouldn't have more villagers than you, because their villagers cost more and they are, you know, they produce slower, so they always have less villagers than you. If this was another civilization, maybe we will see a number of 40 here instead of 32. So at this point, the villager gap is too big, so just keep in mind, keep producing villagers non-stop. If there's something you want to improve, and like even you don't change anything that you do here, if you constantly produce villagers, you always make sure you have food and produce villagers, then at least you will have the villager advantage. And that comes to my second point. What do you do with your resources? So I can see you have a lot of gold here, and gold that you're not using. You just get forestry for now by thinking about getting double products and a lot of upgrades. If you see here, you have 4 upgrades that are important. This is the most important one. The wheelbarrow will give your villagers extra move speed, and they will also gather more resources before doing a drop-off. So getting the wheelbarrow right away is gonna help you. So look at that. Now you have a lot of spearmen, which technically he can take this fight. That's a lot of horsemen coming from your opponent, and he doesn't have the counter, which is the archers, to take down your spearmen. So he's gonna take a lot of damage if he decides to fight now. He decides to retreat. I think this is a fight that he could have won, probably, but he decides to retreat. And now you're, you know, moving into more infantry. Looks like you're having a market. Probably, I don't know if you want to trade some resources. This is obviously a good idea when you have, like, you know, you have a lot of gold that you mine by mistake. You can always sell the gold to buy some wood, for example, or some food. You can keep producing units. So deer still being gathered here. Now remember, food resources in the map will run out eventually, so you may think about going for some farms. Now your opponent obviously is obviously also a beginner, so he's having some problem with macro here. You can already see he has a lot of wood. Always think about using your resources. I think you're doing a really good job on using the food, and the wood you have can do a better job on getting those upgrades, especially the economic upgrades like this one, especially this one, because you have a lot of villagers on wood at the moment. may think about getting those upgrades right away. Blacksmith, of course, very important. You want to get +1 range attack and +1 range armor. Normally, these melee armor you don't really want to get at the beginning, especially when you have lombos. You want to get +1 range attack, because the lombos can attack constantly non-stop, right? Whereas the melee units, they need some time to reach the opponent to do damage. So obviously, always the +1 range attack will be better for you. Now this is a very good fight you're having here. Those are a lot of spearmen. Gotta make sure those spearmen actually connect with those horsemen. It's actually a very good fight for you. Those are a lot of spearmen doing a lot of DPS. Now you're losing a lot of units, but also he's losing a lot. And he had a lot of horsemen, and now he has pretty much none. Now he has some man-at-arms here, which you don't have any kind of unit to deal with that. These are very strong units, so keep that in mind. You will realize that the man-at-arms, it's a heavy armor unit, so units like the lombos or the spearman won't do much damage to them. Oh, you're getting your upgrades, but no eco upgrades, so always think about like getting am I getting behind on the economy or am I ahead? If my economy is good, I have enough resources to finish the opponent, so always thinking about the economy. It's a good idea. You can get these upgrades, you can get you know, the what's the name of this one, double broadaxe. You can get a meal. You have a meal here, but you don't have any upgrade. And you can see you have an aura here. This influence radius, basically when you put a farm here, it will give you extra gathering rate, which is very, very good for you. So you might thinking about going for farms with the English. So far, you're not producing military, so you might thinking about what's your strategy. And there are a number of options you can have. You may decide, okay, I want to fight in the Feudal Age. What do I need? Well, I need a lot of wood for my production buildings, for my archers, and for my spearmen. I also need a lot of food. So I'm gonna be focusing mostly on food and wood. And if you see your villager distribution, you only have 4 villagers on food at the moment. It's gonna be changed sometime soon when they start finishing these farms. So you need way more on food if you want to fight. Another option maybe you wanna go Castle Age. Okay, if you wanna go Castle Age, you wanna get a lot of food and a lot of gold. 6 on gold, it's more than enough to go Castle Age. At this point, if you don't plan to go Castle Age, this is a little bit too much. But if you know, if you're not planning to go Castle Age, you can just move this around. Nothing wrong about. It's not like you put a villager here and he will stay forever. Try to move villagers around. You know, relocating your resources, it's always a very important thing about Age of Empires. Oh my god, 3,000 food. You can pretty much go for a full farm transition at this point. So your opponent is going Castle Age. What this means is he will have stronger units. His economy will be better if he gets those upgrades. So you may think about, you know what, I can also go castle, and there you go. You go for the King's Palace, which is definitely a good choice. It acts as a town center, so you're gonna be pumping units from 2 town centers. So you're gonna be needing more food for sure. Also, these farms, try to always put them along the influence of these farms, just like this, right? You can put 8 farms here, so that you can just go for the click here on the mill, shift click, and when you click on the mill, it will automatically select the available space for you, and it will create all the farms around your mill. Now you have your farms, which is really good. You may be thinking about getting more farms. You're still using your wood for some reason. Maybe it's houses. You have a lot of houses, so you may think about stopping there for a while. I know it's a little bit annoying. And you're putting a tower here, which you don't really need because you have the town center that acts as a tower. normally when you go outside of the map, you might want to put those outposts here, just so that you can protect your villagers from ratings. You can just press G and they will go inside those towers. So your opponent already have the man-at-arms. You know, he doesn't have any upgrade yet, so that's good for you. These are like Imperial Age units, but he does have a lot of military advantage. And you have been going for an Age up, and you know you don't have military. Take a look at the observer mode. You can already tell who's getting ahead and who's getting behind. You constantly need to produce villagers. You constantly need to produce army unless you are trying to, you know, go for a castle age. You need to stop producing units, otherwise you cannot age up. You're using the foot. So now that you are in castle age, how do you win this? Well, your opponent has a lot of man-at-arms, and for man-at-arms you need crossbows. Crossbows, you can build them from here. They cost gold and foot, so you realize that castle age units, they cost a little bit more resources because they are better. So you may want to have more food. So these farms, all good here. This is very good for you. Think about moving those guys to having more food. Probably at this point you might want to have like 20 something to 30 villagers on food if you want to sustain an army and also keep producing villagers. So that's on that. You're gonna be having a lot of spearmen, which is not really the best unit when it comes to dealing with the man-at-arms, which are already upgraded. So these guys are just gonna be very tanky, very tanky. So to give you an idea, they will have like 5 armor, and these guys have 9 attacks. So each spearman is just gonna do 4 damage, and this guy has 290 HP. So they will need like 290 divided by 4. I think you will need like 70. Yeah, like 70 something attacks to take down only one man-at-arm. 70 something. So that's crazy, right? You have 20 something spearmen, so if all of them attack one unit and attack them like maybe 5 times, you may take down one of these. So you need the crossbows, and you're having the longbows, which are good against non-armor units, but are not good against, you know, these heavy armor units, especially the gilded man-at-arms. They're very strong. So again, let's take a look at your rally points. You're putting everyone on wood, which is fine. You can put everyone on wood, and when you have enough wood, you can select like, you know, 8 of them and use more put more farms in your base. Ideally, you want to put the farms next to your town center so they can garrison if something happens. But, you know, the idea is to, you know, you can already see you have a lot of wood that you're not using, and you're lacking food because you don't have enough villagers on food. So just move those guys to wood, from wood to food, and you should be good to go. This guy didn't decide to attack. If for whatever reason he decided to attack a long time ago, he will already won the game. So the best way to counter this is just to, you know, keep producing villagers, keep allocating your resources, keep producing military, and produce the right units. If you have a lot of crossbows and spearmen, it's gonna be the right choice for you here. Crossbow will deal with this, spearman will deal with the horseman and the knights. So you're basically having spearman, which is the right choice because he also have horsemen, but you need more crossbows, and you don't have any one of them. Crossbows, very good unit against armor units. It says here anti-armor specialist, so I'm gonna be having a good time. Now your scout is already there. You're gonna spot the army, so at the same time your opponent is going Imperial Age, which is very good for him, and you are nowhere near aging up, so these things are gonna get a little bit hard for you. You have a lot of gold, which is great if you get those upgrades. So you're getting spearman. These are already better. You already see you're fighting here. You're dealing a lot of damage to those horsemen, but the problem is those man-at-arms. Just like I told you, they have a lot of armor, and he runs because he thinks he cannot win a fight, but he actually can. He actually can win this fight, and if he decides to fight, he will beat you up. Take a look at those man-at-arms. They barely take any damage. Already go to the Imperial Age, so he may get some upgrades. At this point, let's take a look at your villager distribution. I think 11 on gold is fine for the Castle Age. Maybe put a little bit more. But you have a lot of wood. Wood that you are not using. You can go for more production buildings. Or you can go for farms. At this point, you need villagers on foot, because you have only 15. And as you can see, you already lost your army here, because these units are really strong against spearmen. So you may think about moving some of those to having more and more farms. That's the strength of the English. It's an easy civilization to play, just because you can just go for the farms. Take that to your advantage. Your opponent is gonna go for rams now, and this is gonna be very hard to deal with them. Again, more villagers on wood. I already finished the gold here, so you still have some resources. Town center not working. Again, you don't have enough food for producing the units, and you also have a lot of food that you're not using. So always keep producing villagers from the town center. Always keep producing units. Always allocate your resources to have 8. Go for a meal. Click here, shift click, and you will be able to create all the farms. So your opponent is pretty much ready to go. These are elite gilded man-at-arms. These guys are not dying for... they are just not dying. These armies, it's scary. So you are moving here to the wood, which is a good choice. You just need to have more villagers on foot. That's it. Because... and also, you're producing crossbowmen from this. So you can also press, like... there are a lot of hotkeys you may want to try it out. Like, there are many guides in other YouTube channels that teach you how to use the hotkeys. I do have a tutorial on Complete Beginner's Guide to Age of Empires 4. That teaches you the hotkeys I use as well. So you can just produce units from here. Because you're not producing for the Council Hall, which is the best landmark you have for producing archers. So remember, here they will produce faster. And you're getting crossbows, which is good for you. Crossbows will do very good against those. The problem is you don't have the numbers. One of the reasons you don't have the numbers is because you have a lot of resources. Now you already used the wood a lot. I'm not sure for what. You just use a lot of wood. Not really sure where you put it, but you need more food. That's it. If you put a little bit more food, 30 on food or something like that, you're gonna be having a great time. Your numbers here are gonna skyrocket. Keeping producing villagers from here is just gonna be very good for you. You may have, at this point in the game, 100 something villagers if you have 2 town centers. So imagine what 100 something villagers can do to you. You can have a great economy, you can have a lot of army. And then, you know, you will go for a fight, and obviously this is a fight that you cannot win. These guys are really very good units, very expensive units. And yeah, you can already see, you already lost pretty much the whole army here. So town center is gonna get a ram here. And you don't have much army, and he already have 69 military units. So that's pretty much checkmate for you. If you want to think of this as chess, like, this guy already won. There's nothing you can do about it to change your fate. You need a miracle at this point. But you know, one thing I will advice is just go for those replays. Go for those replays and see what are your mistakes, and that's it. So hopefully, you know, I don't know if this video will be seen by xQc. I have no idea. I hope he does. It's a really hard game. Don't beat yourself. This is a really, really hard game. So just, you know, check your match history. Try to, you know, try to look for where are your losses. Try to look for more guides, and eventually you will get better. You will get better at this game. This game is really hard. So for those people out there who thinks like you may be, oh, you're so bad at this game. Everyone is bad at this game when they start, but it gets better. It gets more fun. It gets way better when you learn more of it, and I hope to see you ranking on the ladder. I hope to see you getting to gold, getting to platinum. I'm sure you can make it if you follow the steps. And that's it for me. Hopefully this is also useful for very, very new players. Good luck, and don't forget to have a lot of fun. This is a very fun game.